Good morning, everyone. If we can go ahead and get in order here, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, welcome to the Monday, September 15th, 2025 Neighborhoods Meeting. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order and start introductions to my left with Mr. Delaney.
Good morning, y'all. Bill Delaney, Mayor's Office.
Colleen Hampsey, Council Research.
Mary Stefopoulos, Office of General Counsel.
Philip Peterson, Council Auditor's Office.
Good morning, Michael Boylan, District 6.
Randy White, District 12.
Mike Gay, District 2.
Ron Salem, Group 2 at large.
Will Lane in District 3 visiting.
Jimmy Peluso, District 7, visiting.
Very good. Welcome visiting council members. We'll go ahead and open up with public comment. Do we have any speaker cards? All right, no speaker cards, so we'll go ahead and move on from public comment. At this time, I'd like to recognize Councilman Boylan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At my request, Mr. Peterson handed out to you a report on the Council Strategic Initiatives Summary to talk about. I guess I was a little taken back when I opened up the agenda on Friday and saw quite a number of requests we call council contingency, but truly I appreciate the title he put here, Council Strategic Initiatives. My concern is that there's three items, and this is number one. My concern is that we've turned these into council pocketbooks for us to dole out indiscriminately. And many worthwhile organizations, no doubt, yet we're seeing we've got one today that's non-compliant. We see the IG report the other day that's talking about a number of entities, small ones mostly, who have not met the terms of the agreement, the grant agreement they've signed. And I wanted to kind of help stem the trend here, if nothing else, that speaks to the fact that these aren't cookie jars that we can indiscriminately offer funds to organizations because they ask and because we think they're good organizations. Not to hold mine as a standard, but what I did with my $150,000 was recognize the need in my district, put out an RFP in order to address that specific need. I didn't carve it up and give it to a lot of little organizations because I want to make friends. So I did want to share that first and foremost as we take a look at today's bills. And I wanted to say this up front because I don't want to have to repeat it 10 times as we go through today's agenda. Item number 2, sweeping funds. Another disturbing trend, and Councilmember Salem probably want to speak to this as much as I do. We're seeing now opportunities, worthwhile initiatives and programs out there. We're finding dollars, or vacant dollars, if you will, in other projects or programs, and say, well, that's there. It's, they don't need it, so let me sweep it over here and use it for my project or for this. And I think maybe we need to take a look at the idea of an ordinance or bill that says in those situations where there are vacant funds, I'll call them vacant funds, but are automatically reappropriated or reallocated to the operating reserve so that there's equal footing in terms of opportunity to access those. And I'll ask Mr. Peterson, if I may, very quickly, Mr. Chair, with respect to the practice of sweeping funds. As I said, it seems to me we are seeing a rash of them this year, but I don't recall that many of them in recent years during my tenure on the council. Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, as it relates to sweeping of funds, I will say, on the usual, we in the Council Auditor's Office are not aware of large pockets of excess funding that occurred during the year. The scenario that is on your agenda today is there was a significant savings of nearly $10 million in debt funding realized in the current year from the interest rate that was projected in last year's budget and the interest rate that was realized. And that created about a $10 million savings, which then is extra money in the current year's budget. The administration proposed a bill to use
$9 million of that for the majority going to the group health fund, which you'll recall that conversation that's happened over the last month or so. This committee and this body took action where not all of that was needed. And so that left a pocket of funding available, and there was so much discussion on that. That's Councilmember Johnson approached us about that. But getting to back to the bigger issue, I won't say that it's out of the norm for council members to become aware of sweeping funds, but that it absolutely is a policy decision on whether or not you choose to spend those dollars. And because if you don't spend them, they will fall to reserves and boost up the city's operating reserves or help offset areas where maybe there's overspending. I hate to put a categorization of it's unusual or normal, because I think it varies year to year or maybe even council cycle to council cycle.
So in my view, and we might want to take a look at this as a council, maybe even as a finance committee in particular, to take a look at this and say maybe as a practice or as a policy, in effect, if we have available funds and projects that are completed, that they automatically roll into the operating reserve, both, number one, for the benefit of the reserve, but secondly, to make a level playing field. For those of us who were less discriminating and going and chasing down these funds, it seems to make sense to me that we have a policy that puts it in place, because drawing down on the general operating reserve I think is a greater challenge, quite honestly, for many of us. And so it levels the field when we get to that process. So something to think about as we take a look. And there are some instances, like the one you mentioned today, where when there's a general consensus, it's a good idea. It's another one when you've got a councilman who sees an opportunity to take it to do something that may be worthwhile or otherwise. Last but not least, and I got caught on this once before, I'm going to ask Ms. Stefopoulos if she wouldn't mind taking a minute to speak to the concept of public purpose. My concern is we're seeing, not only in this agenda, but others, entities that are being benefited without a true sense and appreciation of public purpose. So if you could speak to that for me, please.
Through the chair to the committee. So public purpose is one of those concepts that's tantamount to the expenditure of public dollars, city dollars. And it's something that we always look at from the Office of General Counsel's perspective, and the auditors do the same when we're offering legislation to fund an organization or to spend dollars, to make sure that there's a public purpose behind that expenditure. And there are times, and some of you may have had conversations with me in the past about whether or not we feel Office of General Counsel has any concerns about being on firm legal footing with respect to a public purpose. You may find that we recommend in certain types of legislation that we include findings to clarify that the council has determined that there's a public purpose. And while there's great deference given to that by the courts, it is still something of consideration. And so periodically we'll see a piece of legislation where we might just recommend we add those findings into the legislation to make it clear how the council has determined that there is a public purpose to the expenditure. But that is something that we vet for every piece of legislation that we file on your behalf. And certainly when we're giving to organizations and we're looking at funding a program or a service, just to make sure that program or service has some form of a public purpose that's, again, very broad, and it's a council determination to make at the end of the day. But that is a tantamount consideration to the expenditure of the city dollars.
Thank you, Mr. Pappas. Through the chair, I don't mean to pick on any particular council member in this process, because I think we're all guilty of it. And I guess my point is, I appreciate us being deferential to our colleagues in the interest of what they do, how they want to use these strategic dollars. We've gotten away from what the intent of the strategic funding was. It was really meant to take a look at a larger picture for us to making, as collectively, an assessment as to some needs in our community and making sure we are addressing those needs in appropriate fashion. What's evolved over the last couple of years is these becomes our own little cookie jars of dollars that we are now pushing out there, and all of us are signing off on it because it's an allocation for Councilman Boylan or Councilman White, whomever it is, and say we don't want to get in the way of that. But I think as we look at the purported precipice of our future financial future, we need to be a little more discriminating as we take a look at these bills. And I don't mean to pick on anybody or all the appropriations today. I was just pretty much taken back by the number of those here, and we've been seeing these streaming throughout the year. And and last but not least, if I can, I thank you, Mr. Chair, for your diligence in allowing me this time or patience, is taking a look at the number of direct contracts. We're seeing with KHA, just the IG report, a lot of organizations out there are not in a position to do so. We need to get back to the point and say, identify a need, create an RFP for that need to be addressed, and make these things competitive going forward. Too many of these direct contracts, I'm sure for KHA, I appreciate their willingness to take them on, but it's very difficult for them to manage. When you have a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen of $10,000 grants that you've got to administer to a variety of organizations, invariably what happened with IG in the IG report is going to happen as a result. So, Mr. Chair, I appreciate you giving me the time to share all this, but I think it's a conversation we as a committee, and I'd love to see finance take it up as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Councilman Boylan. I got a couple of speakers here on the queue, and I guess the hope is that some of these comments will help us when we get to these bills to be able to move through them pretty quickly. So with that, Dr. Salem, you recognize.
Thank you, Chair. Councilmember Boylan, we have never agreed on an issue more than your statement. God, perfect. But let me go through some things very quickly because I share your concerns. Number one, I know Councilmember Chair Arias has said in our Finance Committee meetings, we're not going to be taking up dollars during the year in a way that this found money, so to speak, that you addressed. Number two, I value a council member's discretion in using their funds, but $6,000 or $7,000, $10,000 appropriations are beyond anything that I can accept. And I will be voting against all of them. And there's a $5,000 one there, I believe, as well, that I'll be voting against. It takes the same resources on a $10,000 appropriation as it does a $500,000 appropriation. The amount of time and effort our auditors and OGC is spending, and then monitoring it, is the same concern. I'll be introducing legislation to limit these to $25,000 as a minimum going forward, because I think anything less than that is not fair to KHA or our grants committee, because they're going to come back to us and say we need more resources now because we've got all these extra grants we're going to be doing. I don't think that's right as a council. I don't think it's right to the taxpayers. Let me address the third thing you mentioned, was this debt, this $9 million that came up. I worked with the auditors to determine what was the appropriate amount to put in that healthcare trust fund, which was, I believe, was $5 million. I'm getting nods. My goal was to build up the reserves with the rest of the money. I'm sensitive to my brothers and sisters in police and fire. You and I, Councilmember Bolton, will be off the council when a lot of the expenses for this pension and salary stuff hits, but I'm doing everything I can to justify what I'm trying to do is to build up the reserves so that this city could handle those appropriations, and that was just an example of it. And I will be voting against those bills as well that are appropriating those dollars. I'm going to put a line in the sand today and say enough is enough. Enough is enough. So that's my point on this. Some of you may disagree. I hate to go against a colleague and using their funds, but I would encourage him to go back and combine 3 or 4 of them into 30 or 40,000, and I'd be fine with that. But $10,000 or $5,000 is beyond what I can accept. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Clark Murray as a joined us, and you're recognized now.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to everyone. First of all, when I walked into the room, I was listening to Councilmember Boylan and the statement that he was making, especially in regards to so-called found dollars. And we used to use the phrase as a kid, finders, keepers, losers, weepers. And I concur with your statements because $90,000 savings for a project in my district, and my district is probably not the lowest, but probably one of the lowest, has the lowest socioeconomic status, but yet a council member with probably one of the most affluent districts took that $90,000. And I did have an opportunity to speak with Parks and Rec, and he talked me off the ledge because I was going to really rip into why would anyone take any funding from one of the least socioeconomically disadvantaged districts. But so your points are well taken. Also through the chair to Councilmember Salem, your points are well taken as well. But when I got on council in 22, my understanding of the strategic initiatives was completely different from what I think it is now. It's become something completely different. And I have several former council members who I'm going to say that they often give me advice, and they tell me the history behind certain bills, so then I'll know the full picture, not just what's in front of me. So that was explained to me what the purpose of the strategic initiative. So I concur with many of your thoughts. I do. And just want to make sure I'm covering all those things I wanted to say. Okay, thank you, Chair. That's all I want to talk about.
Thank you. Mr. Boylan, I got you back in the queue if you briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just very briefly, I'm not going to pick on Mr. Councilmember Lannon over there, but one of the bills is exactly what we're talking about. I wasn't talking about the big picture items. I mean, I get that. Those are well vetted. We all hear about it. But when these pop up, and if it's within the district, that's one thing, you know, taking it out of one district to another district. But these unrelated reuse, if you will, of funds is where my concern lies. That it's not well vetted to the entire group in advance. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. I'll go ahead and recognize our visitor, Will Lannon.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, I'll talk more about it, but what I'm talking about this morning has been talked about at multiple noticed meetings and has been sequenced and coordinated with a prior bill that was approved unanimously. So this is not a surprise. I think some of you already know about this. I agree with a lot of your comments, but the one I'll talk about, it requires 2/3 of a majority, and it would have been swept to the reserves anyways if we had done nothing for it. So again, I think I'm probably pretty close to talking about my bill. I'll give more background on it when we get there, but it should not be a surprise to anyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone. All right, we'll go ahead and move through the agenda on our action items. Item number 1, it'll be deferred. 2024-0966 at the request of Council President Carrico. Item 2 will be deferred. Item number 2, 2025-0361 at the request of Councilman White. Item 3, 2025-0448 will be deferred at the request of Councilmember White. Item 4, 2025-0472 will amend and take action. Item 5, 2025-0539 will be deferred at the request of Councilmember Peluso. Go ahead, Councilman Peluso.
Thank you, Chair. And obviously, we're not taking any action on this today. I just want to make sure everyone knows letters have been sent out to all the business owners within the bid area, as was kind of requested by this body. And then we've also been going door to door with the letter as well, so that we can get signatures earlier. Because the intention is, I'm going to try to bring this bill up by the end of October, so that it's pushed through before November, because that's the timing that we need to make sure that the assessment could get done. Just want to make sure everyone has an update on that and that we are taking it seriously. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Clark Murray, you're in the queue, or go ahead.
I am, Chair. To the chair, I was hoping to have my bills, which is number 200654 and just looking at it, number 0687. If we could hear those among the first bills, if not the first, if no one else, if not the first, because I do have another meeting at 11 o'clock.
Okay, that was item 20, and what was the other number?
It was number. One moment, I just closed the page again. I think it was 33. Double check. Number 33. So that was number 20 and number 33.
Okay, all right. I'll.
Thank you.
I've got several already requests, so I'll bump those up and get you out here as soon as you can. All right. So we deferred. So we're going to defer item number 5, item number 6, 2025-0600. That'll be deferred at request of administration. Item number 7, 2025-0601. That'll be deferred at the request of administration. Item 8, 2025-0640. We'll take action on. Item number 9, 2025-0641. We'll move that up to our first action item. Item number 10, 2025-0642, we'll take action on. Item number 11, 2025-0643, we'll take action on. Item number 12, 2025-0645, we'll take action. Item 13, 2025-0647, will amend and take action. Item number 14, 2025-0648, will amend and take action. Item 15, 2025-0649, will amend and take, or we will take action, not amend, we'll take action as it is. 16, 2025-0650, will take action. Number 17, 2025-0651 will amend and take action. Item 18, 2025-0652 will take action on. Item 19, 2025-0653 will take action. Item 20, 2025-0654 will take action on. We'll move it up. 21, 2025-0655 will take action. Item 22, 2025-0656 will take action. 23, 2025-0657 will take action. 24, 2025-0659 will amend and take action. 25, item 25, 2025-0660 will take action. Item 26, 2025-0661 will take action. Item 27, 2025-0664 will take action. Item number 28, 2025-0680 will take action. 29, item 29, 2025-0681 is on second. Item number 30, 2025-0682 is an emergency and will take action. 31, item 31, 2025-0683 is emergency, will take action. Item 32, 2025-0686 is emergency, will take action. 33, 2025-0687 is emergency, will take action. And amend. 34, item 34, 2025-0689, emergency will take action. 35, 2025-0690 is emergency will take action. 36 is 2025-0691, emergency will take action, and we'll be moving that one up as well. Item number 37, 2025-0693 is on second. 38, 2025-095 is on second. Item 39, 2025-0711 is on second. Item number 40, 2025-0713 is an emergency. We'll take action. 41, item 41, 2025-016 is an emergency. We'll take action. 42 is item 42, 2025-018 is emergency. We'll take action. Item 43, 2025-0720 is an emergency. We'll take action, and that's the end of the agenda. So we'll go ahead and move to first action item. It will be item number 9. Can I get a motion to approve? I've got a motion and a second, and open up for discussion of Councilman Lannon, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And to the committee, myself and Councilmember Miller, the past couple of years, we've been the liaisons to the Military and Veterans Department here at the city, and there have been 2 big initiatives we've been working on. That being the shade structure, or now the potential future of the memorial wall, which this bill is not associated with that. And then the other one was having a military and veterans resource center for their families as well here in Jacksonville. You may recall 2025-463, Councilmember Miller introduced this in August, and it was approved. This set up the Veterans and Military Family Community Center Trust Fund. This allows not only public funding, but also private funding to be donated into that, because the goal is that this is not just Jacksonville taxpayer dollars, but it's truly a public-private partnership to accomplish these initiatives. So that bill set up the design, construction, and future operating costs can all be housed within that fund. We have had multiple notice meetings on some of these efforts, to where combinations of myself, Councilmember Miller, Councilmember Howell, I think a few others over the course of the couple ones we've had have been there. And we had mentioned that we wanted to set this fund up first before my bill, which is before you today. That's 2025-0641. I did have a project in my district. It was completed for about $600,000 below what the budget was. I have known about it a few months, and like I said, I have said that at these notice meetings that my intent, once the Miller bill was approved, we would then have a bill to move that $600,000 with the intent that this is the first sizable move into this trust fund, and this can start the preliminary design and engineering. There is a building identified. It's a city-owned building. It's in the Cathedral District. It's connected to the Emerald Trail. Harrison Conyers is at a military event this morning, along with his team and my ECA as well, out at Mayport, but he will be in finance tomorrow if there are more detailed questions asked. Separately, within the CIP that we'll vote to approve next Tuesday night, there is $2 million that is in there for Veterans Infrastructure Initiative. So we amended the name of that just so it could be very flexible as to what initiative we eventually use it for. Some may be the Veterans Resource Center, which this bill is specifically for, or it may be the combination of the shade structure, or looking into a relocation of the memorial wall, which is its own separate subject. But again, the bill before you is $600,000 to go into the Veterans and Military Family Community Center Trust Fund, so we can start the preliminary design and engineering for that building. And that is, I'll leave myself open to questions. And again, Harrison Conyers is the expert on this. He couldn't make it today, but I also didn't want to defer the bill, and he will be in finance tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Councilman Lannon, Dr. Salem, you were in the queue.
I was unaware of the site. He identified it as somewhere in the Cathedral District. That was my interest. Thank you.
All right, no other speakers in the queue. Go ahead and open the ballot and record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you have approved 2025-0641. Thank you, Councilman Lannon. Next action item, we'll go ahead and drop down to item number 35. All right, 2025-0690. I've got a motion to approve. Did I get a motion on emergency? Okay, I got a motion and a second, so, okay, and I get a motion on the bill as an emergency.
Mr. Chair, just a reminder, so when the emergency gets moved, you need to debate and hear what the purpose of the emergency is, and you need to take a voice vote on that, and then you would move the bill if it's approved.
All right. All right, I'll go ahead and Councilmember Peluso.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My apologies. We're voting on the emergency, correct?
Correct.
So we're voting on so much like a lot of kind of the bills that we were mentioning a moment ago, the reason why we're in emergency status is because these funds will go into the reserves after the fact. And we're just kind of making sure, I think myself and a few other council members have a few bills that we're trying to get through before we get to the end of the month.
All right, thank you. Dr. Salem? All right, all in favor of the emergency, say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? All right, you approved the emergency. I've got a motion to move the bill and a second as an emergency. And all right, you go ahead, Councilman Boland.
First of all, Eric, I need you over here to fix my, Eric, I need your help over here. I just wanted, number one, I appreciate, this is clearly a public purpose in the sense of this, but is this a one-time ask? Is this going to be a perennial ask? Again, the goal is to try and make these things freestanding organizations and projects that they serve.
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, I could use this time to pontificate on kind of what we were talking about in terms of these. As you kind of mentioned, we do kind of have our own kitty, and we get to spend money into things that directly relate to our districts. And I understand that that's what kind of this looks like. I know that my intention when I first came into office was to maybe create an entirely very similar to a PSG grant process, one for neighborhoods and community organizations outside of what KHA, outside of what PSG does, that specifically are doing things on kind of the social and neighborhood levels. Because we don't kind of have that process, when I did my strategic initiatives, I said I want to put dollars into the neighborhoods organizations that my district has a ton of. And you've already got, as a body, we've already appropriated dollars to SPAR for their cleanup efforts. RAP we've put some money into the 5 Points business area for cleanup efforts as well. This goes to the remaining commercial corridors within the Riverside Avondale area and a few other cleanup and maintenance issues. To that end, the expectation is these are one-time efforts. So the expectation is that in future strategic initiatives as we move forward, we're not going to need to do stuff like this. And to the point of me creating the Business Improvement District, that's to help make sure there is a sustainable long-term model for that, right? SPAR already knows that there's not going to be any more dollars in the future for their cleanup efforts. They're going to start fundraising on their own for that. So we're preparing. These are all very long-term proof of concepts, not long-term. These are proof of concepts that are meant to create a long-term sustainability plan. And fortunately, I happen to have a lot of very long-standing, strong neighborhood organizations that have the ability to do that. The concern that I have for future and other organizations is they may not have that kind of long-term planning that these organizations do, right? They're fully staffed, they've got a lot of staffers, they've got a good fundraising efforts. This is just ways to help make sure that we're showing our neighborhoods that we can do this, and then we'll be able to find additional dollars moving forward.
All right, thank you. You're in the queue, but do you still need to speak?
No, I just kind of want to reemphasize that these were the strategic plan dollars that I put in were always meant to go to neighborhood organizations and associations. So as far as I'm concerned, this was always kind of the intent. The timing was just, when told, hey, the dollars go away by the end of the month, you got to move on them, and that's what we're doing.
All right, no other speakers in the queue. I've got a motion and a second on the emergency, the bill as an emergency. Open the ballot to cast your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0690. Next item will be item number 36, 2025-0691. Can I get a motion on the emergency? I've got a motion and a second on the emergency. Let's have discussion on the emergency. I got Councilmember Peluso in the queue. Okay, Councilman, Dr. Salem?
Yeah, I'm sensitive to the east side, worked with east side, but at $5,000, I will be voting against this. It's just, we're taxing our auditors, the OGC, as well as whoever's monitoring this, grants and compliance. I just can't live with that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Dr. White. Councilmember, I'm recognizing Councilmember White.
Thank you, and through the chair, I certainly heard everything Mr. Borland said, heard everything Mr. Salem said, and certainly respect that. And I believe you don't do an ordinance that cleans this up in the future, but I think we should play by the rules that was set forward on these, because that's what the rules were, and change it in the future. So I don't vote for these, only because that's the way the rules set today. And I'll certainly support, Dr. Salem, your ordinance, not to do it in the future, but that's where I am. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Peluso.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Councilmember White. I really appreciate that, sir. I think that's right. I mean, this is the, we're playing Monopoly right now. We're playing Parcheesi, and the rules we have in front of us are the ones we should play with until we change those rules. For this dollar amount, I fully understand where Councilmember Salem's coming from. Because this is a relatively new organization, but it's one that's highly established because it's a part of the Main Street program throughout the state of Florida. If you go to Main Street, if you go to Florida Avenue, if you go to A. Philip Randolph, there's a lot of big block parties that occur, and one occurred this weekend, for instance. And to ensure that FAMS is given sort of the credibility that it needs in the neighborhood, we want to make sure that there's proper security and proper processes to make sure that the events and the parties that are occurring on that street aren't kind of getting out of hand, which unfortunately we have seen in the past. So when FAMS said, is there any ability to help make sure, again, they've got full-time staff, they're well established, they've got a good donor network, things are moving in the right direction for them. This was meant to be a one-time expenditure to make sure that we have, especially as the Jaguar season starts, the ability to give them some tools to help make sure that they're able to continue community engagement within the neighborhood that we all know is very, it's a tough neighborhood in some places, but two, to make sure that we have security available for different events and different things like that. So the dollar number was, I didn't want to give them too much, but I want to make sure that we gave them something, as we go into the Jaguar season. Thank you.
All right, Miss Mary is not here. I just want to make sure we're speaking on the emergency. Councilman Boland? Okay. Any more on the emergency? All right. All in favor, say yay. Yay. Any opposed likewise? We got one nay. I've got a motion and a second to move the bill as an emergency. Councilmember Boland, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, Mr. Peluso. Just a piece of advice, really. When you have organizations like, I've never heard of FAMS before, and the entities, and we're seeing a lot of these now that I appreciate they're small startups, many of those. I'd love to have an opportunity to have an appreciation of you commented on it briefly, what the entity is, but I think in future, and other bills that we're seeing today, I really would appreciate having some information about the organization and their viability of living up to the terms of the grant.
Go ahead.
Through Chair to Councilmember Boylan, thank you for that question. So Florida Main Street, there's a whole Main Street program throughout the entire United States. It's meant to kind of revitalize more historic neighborhoods. There's a federal Main Street program, then all the states have their own Main Street programs. It's offered up under the State Department. So Jacksonville, Florida has never had a Florida Main Street. You go to like Kissimmee, Florida, or Orlando, or whatever. Many of them have several different Main Street programs. It's basically a commercial corridor that's been defunct because of, from the 60s or whatever. And it's a way to help revitalize those streets in those commercial areas. So Jacksonville's very first Florida Main Street is A. Philip Randolph, Florida Avenue. It got approved earlier this year, I think about a year and a half ago today, or it got approved and then it got set up about a year ago. So with that, they have to get immediate funding to be able to hire staff. There's a lot of criteria that they have to meet within the State Department. The Jaguars are funders, LiftJax is funders. They've got a bunch of other different organizations that have kind of helped, keep it up. They've got a great executive director right now. She's incredible. Her name's Nigel. Actually, are you in the audience, Nigel? There she is. Actually, you want to just come on up and explain to Councilmember Boylan? But the point is, whenever I look at any groups or nonprofits that I'm working with, I don't want any of them to not have already funds available. I don't want any funds that they get from the city to be like 50% or more of what their operating revenue is. Like, it needs to be, we're helping to supplement these organizations, not help keep the lights on for them. So that was something that I'm very critical of when I'm working with different organizations that I've helped. But FAMS is an incredible one. They are new, but she can tell you more about it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Jimmy. Through the chair, the question, the essence of my question is your ability to meet the terms of the grant agreement. I think that's where we're finding entities who love to spend this money, but don't have the wherewithal to then live up to the agreements. Can you speak to your assurance? Give me some assurance that that's going to happen in this case.
Sure thing. To the chair, to the committee through the chair. Good morning. My name is Nigel Khan, and as Councilmember Pelosi said, I serve as the executive director of Florida Avenue Main Street. This grant is not my first experience with city funding. I used to work for an organization called Family Foundations of Northeast Florida, and prior to that, I worked for Ability Housing, and both of those organizations received funding through the city. So I'm well aware of public service grants and went through that entire process for several years prior to taking on this role. And as at Florida Avenue Main Street, I have the ability to definitely monitor and use these dollars in the stewardship of the city and to maintain and follow through on all the requirements that the city will require.
All right, thank you. All right, so I have no speakers on the queue. I've got a motion and a second to approve or to vote on this as an emergency. Open the ballot and cast your vote.
Three yeas, 2 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0.
Mr. Chair, actually, in order for a bill to be reported out of committee, it requires a majority vote of the entire membership of the committee, so it would require 4 votes. So based on the vote on this at this juncture, unless there's a motion to reconsider and take it up again to see if anybody would change their vote, it would be an automatic deferral until the next meeting.
All right, is there a motion to reconsider?
And one of the 2 who voted no would have to move to reconsider.
Right, so then the action would be is deferred?
Yes, per the rules, it would be deferred until the next meeting.
All right, thank you.
Through the chair, it's scheduled to go to Rules and Finance, so if it's reported out of those and the president sees fit to discharge it from neighborhoods, he can do that.
All right, so by your vote, 2025-0691 has been deferred. All right, next action item, we'll go ahead to item number 20. (2025-0654). Can I get a motion to approve? I've got a motion and a second. And I've got Councilmember Clark Murray in the queue.
Thank you, Chair. So this particular funding is going towards a park, and it's on 12th Street, obviously in District 9. We have 3 beautiful parcels of land that have just been sitting there. I have to keep reminding my community that, hey, this is a park, because I have other businesses around who have been parking their cars, their 18-wheelers, and I'm always having to defend this. And Darryl Joseph with Parks can attest to this as well. So with that being said, and the fact that what we want to do with this is part of it's going to become a dog park. A portion of it is going to become a area where the residents can walk on a walking track. We previously had access to what was Paxton Middle School, but is now James Weldon Johnson, their track. We had an agreement through the school board, and I think at some point the city worked with the school board to put in lights on the track, so we had a joint use agreement that we could access the track, the community could. However, with the ramifications of the Parkland shooting and the fencing and the security that is now required for schools, the community no longer has access to the track. So this funding is going to go to help build that area so that the residents can have an area where they can walk. And we also are have one other section of this particular park or green space that we're going to use in another way. The other thing I wanted to do, and I spoke with the Woodstock Community Neighborhood Association, which I don't have any members who are here today. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, good, fantastic. I was trying to see if I saw someone. Okay, so I do have a member here who's here to speak on it if you need anyone to speak about it. We're also going to integrate Biltmore Elementary School, which is right down the street. And my hope is to help once we have the design company selected, that they go in and talk with the elementary school kids and help design the park. So that's an overview of this particular bill.
All right, thank you. Dr. Salem, you're recognized.
Through the chair to Mr. Joseph. It sounds like you are supportive of this process. Number one. And number two, it sounds like all the work being done here is to make more of a passive park versus an active park. Can you address both those?
Good morning, Darrell Joseph, Parks Department. Through the chair to Councilman Salem. Yes, supportive of the project. We've actually been playing more defense than offense on this project. As Councilwoman Clark Murray mentioned, we have semi-trailers, things along those lines, parking in this green space. So this will actually program and activate it for the community.
When you say program and activate it, that makes me sound like it's an active, with swing sets and all those types of things.
No, through the chair to Councilman Salem. So when I say program and activate, as Councilwoman Clark Murray mentioned, using it as a dog park, using it as a walk trail, walk space, and really just beautifying the actual existing space. But this wouldn't be considered an active park.
Sounds like a wonderful project. We'll be very supportive.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Boland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to Mr. Peterson, can you speak to what impact this withdrawal from the mitigation fund is going to have on that fund? What percentage of this of the fund is being compromised as a result of this withdrawal?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, absolutely. So this legislation is withdrawing funds from the Old Kings Road landfill, and keep in mind the non-Class 1 landfill, so basically every landfill that's active in the city of Jacksonville that's not Trail Ridge, dollars have to be spent within a 7-mile radius of those landfills, and then it has to be used to make improvements to city property. So it's kind of a limited use on those dollars. Currently, as of the month of May, this fund had a balance of $872,000. It does bring in about $10,000 a month. So with the $500,000 withdrawal, it'll take the balance down to $372. But once again, that was as of May. So looking at today, we're probably looking at a little over $400,000 still left in the account.
Through the chair. So to your point, and I appreciated the reference to the fact that it has to be spent within the X mile radius of
7-mile radius.
And this applies in this situation, so this is not an extraordinary use of these funds. Thank you.
All right, no other speakers in the queue. Go ahead, Councilmember.
Through the chair, because she took the time, thank you, Mr. Joseph, because she took the time to come, thank you so much. If you would just come forward and just give us your name and just talk about what the park may mean to you. Through the chair, thank you, Ms. Constance. I couldn't recognize you because of the lighting. I was looking for you. I was like, where's Ms. Constance? Okay. Thank you.
Good morning to the council and everyone. I have been a resident in that neighborhood for about 40 years, and when I originally moved there, like the councilwoman said, we had access to the track there. It was Paxson School at that time, but since then, we no longer have that access. With this dog park and with the walking track, it would improve the property values of our home. It would also have more community access as far as neighbors getting together, knowing each other. It'd be healthy for the dogs, healthy for us as far as exercise, and for seniors and children, so that we're not walking in the streets and being possibly could be hit or anything like that. So this would really be an access to our neighborhood, and we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, no other speakers in the queue. I want to add that I think this is well use of our tax dollars, and this is what our communities are looking for all over the city. So I commend you on that. And this will require a 2/3 vote as well. So I've got a motion and a second. So open up the ballot and record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0654. We'll move to item number 33, 2025-0687. Can I get a motion on emergency? I've got a motion and a second on emergency. Councilmember Clark Murray, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. So this is one of my strategic initiatives. The one that this particular funding was actually set aside to create a PAL at Valencia Way, which is an apartment complex that was just riddled with all kinds of problems, and they're under a PNAP order. And so I wanted to initially allocate these dollars to create the PAL so that one of the elements that helped to add to the criminal aspect of that particular community had to do with the fact that we had so many teenagers and young people who were latchkey kids. They didn't have anything to do once they came home from school and during the summer. So this funding was going to go towards a creation of a PAL at that community. Unfortunately, Millennia Inc., who happens to own Valencia Way, they said that they didn't want the program. And so these dollars have been sitting here for that reason. So fortunately, Newtown Success Zone, they took a liking to me, and they went through the RFP process to have themselves now housed at Westside Park, the Wallace Small Community Center. And so these dollars are actually going to support a youth program there in the Robinson's Addition community. And I do have Ms. Hobbs and Mr. Lane. They are here to speak on their program. If you would give us the opportunity after we vote on the emergency, would be fine.
Right, thank you. Any more discussion on emergency? All right, so no discussion on emergency. All in favor say yay. Yay. Any opposed likewise? Okay, so by your action, you approve the emergency. I get a motion and a second to move the bill as an emergency. Oh, and we got an amendment. So can I get a motion? I've got a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment will attach a revised Exhibit 2, which is the term sheet and budget, to reference the waiver of Section 118-301A34, which would allow the entity to use a portion of the city funds to be spent on the cost of amusement, social activities, incidental costs, including student incentives, field trips, parent engagement events, food and beverage, and participant T-shirts.
All right, no other discussions on the amendment. All in favor say yay. Yay. Any opposed likewise? No opposed. I've got a motion and a second to move the bill as an emergency as amended. And Councilmember Boylan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The two folks here from Step by Step Foundation, is that who's here, Ms. Clark-Murray?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, it is actually the Newtown Success Zone, and they are here. They can tell you about the program. So Step by Step is the program that's going to be within their program.
I'm not so much concerned about the program. I'm sure it's very good, but I repeat the same question I offered the last group. Your capacity and ability to meet the agreement, terms of the agreement of a grant. Can you speak to that for me, please? Through the chair.
Yes. Good morning. My name's Mia Hobdy, and I'm the Executive Director of the Newtown Success Zone, Inc. Newtown Success Zone has been in existence since 2009, and we have a long storied relationship with the City of Jacksonville. Initially, the City of Jacksonville birthed this program. We have since then engaged in a variety of grants with the City of Jacksonville, and as Councilwoman Clark-Murray mentioned, we were awarded the partnership with the West Side Recreational Complex, I'll call it, in an RFP, a competitive RFP process. So we have been vetted by the City of Jacksonville. This particular program is one that is very much needed in that community. Most of the opportunities for enrichment and engagement in that community are, vacant. And that's where we come in moving into those spaces to offer youth and otherwise community programs. This particular after-school program is an enrichment program as well, assisting with homework. We have degreed providers who will be assisting students with homework and providing tutoring, and we also have additional partnerships that will provide intensive enrichment services, home economics, those types of things.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's good. And I have a question for Mr. Peterson. I guess my question, why is this grant agreement not with Newtown Success Zone as opposed to the Step by Step for Help Foundation?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, I cannot answer that question. Councilmember Clark-Murray passed along the information for it to be with Step by Step. I will say that Step by Step has had city contracts before. Yes. They currently have an active one with KHA. So I don't know if that addresses your concern on being able to handle a grant, but it's not an entity that has never received a grant from the city.
Well, but I'll defer to Ms. Clark-Murray, if I could, Mr. Chair, to answer that question, because it seems to me that that's the entity that's probably more appropriate in terms of the grant agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Boylan, through the chair for that question. So once again, with this program, so the Newtown Success Zone program is a larger program that not only will target youth, but they also target the seniors, the primary age group within Robinson's Addition. So the step-by-step program will be a program within their program, and their job is to target the youth, as Mia spoke about.
Through the chair, but the question, that's not my question. My question is, why isn't the grant agreement between the city and Newtown Success Zone as opposed to Step by Step, if in fact they are a program within that entity?
That is a question that, why isn't it with Newtown Success Zone as opposed to Step by Step? Because Step by Step is the one providing the services. Okay, yeah, I do understand. I understand why you're asking that question. I can also have the representative from Step by Step to be here for finance, so that we can make sure that she's answering any other questions that you have. But once again, their goal, Newtown Success Zone, is an overarching program.
Correct.
And their program, although they do have a youth aspect, but that aspect it has another name. It's like the the Ribault or Trout River program, which is what Mr. Lane represents, but the step-by-step is going to be a program within their program. Okay. Hopefully that is clear to everyone and not muddy. Okay.
I'll just mention, if it's okay, that the services that Newtown Success Zone provides has historically been in partnership with additional community providers. We operate from the collective impact model, and we have funded step-by-step in the past, and we thought it would be a more direct way to get this program started by having them, funded directly.
All right, thank you. Got the queue. Okay. All right, so no other speakers in the queue, so we've got the bill is approved as emergency as amended. No other speakers in the queue. Will open the ballot and record the vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0687. Next, we'll go ahead start back at the beginning of our agenda. Item 1 is deferred. Item 2 is deferred. Item 3 is deferred. Item 4, I've got word from OGC that's told me that Councilman Gaffney is on his way, so we'll go ahead and skip over this and come back to it once he arrives. So the next item 5 is deferred, 6 is deferred, item 7 is deferred. The next item will be number 8, 2025-0640. Can I get a motion to approve? Second. I've got a motion and a second. No discussion. Open the ballot and record your vote.
Four yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you approved 2025-0640. Just a little committee information. We are only 4 now here on the dais, so if anybody leaves, it'll break our quorum. All right, so item number 9, we've already taken action. Item number 10, as I said on item number 4, Councilmember Gaffney is on his way here that I've been informed by OGC. Item number 11, I get 2025-0643. Can I get a motion to approve? Move the bill. Second. I've got a motion and a second. Councilmember Boylan, recognized.
I apologize, Mr. Chair. I know we've got a lot on our agenda here. Ms. Sickler, could you come on down for a minute, please? Ms. Sickler? I'm just trying to get, through the chair, an understanding of where we are in the Crystal Bowl septic tank program. And then secondly, this was a hot topic for a lot of years, and it seems to have gone away. And I know there's a lot of neighborhoods that are still on the list. So what is the progress of the other projects following Crystal Bowl in this process? Well, first question through the chair to Mr. Long then is where are we with the Crystal Bowl project? And secondly, what's next for the other ones?
Yes, sir. Steve Long, Public Works, through the chair to Councilmember Boylan. For Christabel specifically, it's the 3rd location in the program, and there are over 30 locations within the program itself. The first 2 have basically is substantially completed on construction. This one is in the design process. It's looking at going out for bid later this calendar year with construction starting in 2026. And that's actually managed through JEA. They're our partner on this program. They've done a great job with us. And then as far as for the overall program, the next neighborhood on the list is Riverview, and that is in the early planning stages where they're out doing community outreach. They can get the required number of homeowners in the area to sign up for the program. And then from there, we'll be going to, after we finish that, we'll be going to neighborhood 5, 6, 7. This is a very long-term project, as each one of these neighborhoods takes several years between the outreach and then the design, then the construction, as well as the funding being brought in. That's why as we keep continuing to apply for these grants are so important. This is, I believe, the third construction grant we've gotten through this program. So that's why it's vitally important to keep bringing in the funding for it.
Thank you. No other speakers in the queue. Go ahead and open the ballot, record your vote.
Four yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0643. Next item is number 12. We're going to go ahead and skip over that till Councilmember Johnson arrives. We'll go to item number 13, 2025-0647. Can I get a motion on the amendment? I've got a motion and a second on the amendment. Please explain, Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair to the committee, the amendment will correct the total appropriation amount to $326,591, correct the grant award amount to $262,082, and then attach a revised Exhibit 1, which is the BT, to correct that appropriation amount and language.
All right, any discussion on the amendment? No discussion. All in favor say yea. Yea. Any opposed likewise? None. So I've got a motion and a second to approve the bill as amended. No speakers on the queue. Open the ballot and record your vote.
Four yeas, 0 nays.
All right, thank you. By your action, you've approved 2025-0647. Next, item 14, 2025-0648. Can I get a motion on amendment? I got a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment just corrects the fiscal year in which the dollars are being appropriated.
All right, no speakers on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment say yea. Yea. Any opposed likewise? All right, so I got a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Open a ballot and record your vote.
Four yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you approved 2025-0648. Next, item 15, 2025-0649. I've got a motion and a second on the bill. No discussion, no speakers in the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
Four yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you have approved 2025-0649. Next, item 16, 2025-0650. Got a motion approved. I've got a motion and a second. No speakers in the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
Four yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0650. Next, item 17, 2025-0651. Can I get a motion to approve the amendment? I got a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment adds the Oversight Department of JSO for the Homeward Bound Agreement. It attaches the newly required affidavit for when the city direct contracts with a nonprofit, corrects various scriveners, and then also attaches a revised Exhibit 2, which is certification from JSO that the dollars are available.
All right, thank you. Dr. Salem on the amendment. All right, other speakers on the amendment, all in favor say yea. 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 Opposed likewise. I've got a motion and a second to move the bill as amended. Dr. Salem.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just wanted to note there's $140,000 in here for Homeward Bound through the Downtown Vision. Very successful program. Very grateful for what is occurring there. It has been tremendous to see the number of homeless people we're getting back to their hometown through this program, and I think these are very, very, very well spent dollars. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Boland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just an observation on this bill and the other JSO bills that we just saw today are what I would characterize as appropriate use of and the transfer of funds. So I do appreciate staying within the realm the focus of the funds. Thank you.
Thank you. No other speakers in the queue. Open a ballot and record your vote. Oh, here we go. Got to turn the... All right, do it again. Cast your vote.
4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0651. Thank you. All right, our next action item is number 18, 2025-0652. Can I get a motion to approve? I've got a motion and a second. No speakers in the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 2025-0652. Item number 19, 2025-0653. Can I get a motion to approve? I've got a motion and a second. No speakers in the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, item 20, we've already taken action. Item 21, 2025-0655. Can I get a motion to approve? I got a motion and a second. No discussion, no speakers in the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
4 yeas, 0 nays.
By your action, you've approved 2025-0655. Item 22, we will go ahead and skip that one right now. Item 23, we'll skip. That'll take us to item number 24, 2025-0659. Any motion on the amendment? I've got a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment will correct the appropriation amount to $1,064,599.72 and include the appropriate account information, clarifying that $766,288.35 is being appropriated towards the Madison Palms Development Loan Project, and then $298,311.37 is being appropriated to address the negative budgetary balance within the Social Services Division Welfare Shelter account. Including authorization to enter into any amendments necessary with Madison Palms, correcting the ordinance reference number, and then attaching a revised Exhibit 1, which is the BT, to reflect the reduction in the previous general fund appropriation for the Madison Palms development loan.
All right, thank you. Any discussion on the amendment? None. All in favor say yea. Yea. Any opposed likewise? None. I've got a motion to approve. I get a second?
Second.
All right, I've got a second to approve the bill as amended. No speakers in the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
4 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, we're going to take a 2-minute break. All right, we'll go ahead and get back started. I believe we're on item number 25, and after we'll do 25 and 26, and then we'll go to Councilmember Gaffney's items. All right, so item number 25, 2025-0660. I've got a motion and a second to approve the bill. Open the ballots. Record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you approved 2025-0660, and I'd like to notice that Councilman Amaro has joined us. Thank you. That'll take us to item number 26, 2025-0661. Got a good motion to approve? Move the bill. I've got a motion and a second. No speakers in the queue. Open the ballot. Record your vote.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
By your action, you approve 2025-0661. All right, as promised, we'll go ahead back to item number 4. All right, 2025-0472. Can I get a motion on amendment?
Move the amendment.
I got a motion on amendment. I get a second? Second. I've got a second. All right. Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, and through the chair, I really appreciate this moment. Thank you guys for being patient with me. And I need some clarity from, I guess, OGC, auditors. So right now, so just to give you guys an update where I'm at right now. So this bill right now have been deferred for like the last 3 or 4 weeks. When I originally filed legislation, Northside community involvement was not on the, what's the list I'm looking for? The non-compliance list. But so I filed legislation, Northside community involvement, they got on the list, the non-compliance list. So I've been stuck waiting for the last 3 or 4 weeks, seeing if they could turn in the information to get off this list. They have not. I have a new fiscal year start October the 1st. So I got 2 options. My original goal was go find another company to do the same thing Northside Community Involvement is doing. Or I could withdraw it and I guess potentially ask to carry over these funds for the next fiscal year. So I just need to get clarification whether I could, I guess, transfer these funds to another organization or potentially carry over these funds into the next fiscal year.
Through the chair to Councilmember Gaffney, in order to transfer the funds to another organization, you would have to have a term sheet and budget already negotiated and set with that organization, and there is not sufficient time to allow for that to occur. If you want to carry over the funds, then you would need to file a separate new piece of legislation, and that would have to be taken up as an in and out emergency next Tuesday so that you could carry the funds over before the end of this fiscal year, in which case you would want to probably withdraw this piece of legislation if that's your intent.
Okay, so thank you for that. So I guess what I'm gonna do today, and I guess I can't make this, move the withdrawal, and then I'll file an in and out emergency too tonight.
All right, I've got a motion and a second on the move to withdraw. Ms. Mary, I want to make sure I'm in the right posture because we took a motion on the amendment.
Yes, so Mr. Chair, just for clarity of the record, you just may want to have whoever moved that confirm that they want to withdraw that motion, so allow the motion to withdraw to stand. I didn't hear any objection from the committee when the alternate motion was made, so I think that the committee is fine with the request of the councilman. And then whenever you're prepared to take the vote, it would be a ballot vote on the withdrawal.
All right. So
Yeah, Dr. Salem indicated his intent to withdraw that motion. he nodded to me when I mentioned it a moment ago. So if there's no objection from the committee, we do it a little less formally here in committee. So if the mover wants to withdraw it and there's no objection, it's fine to just do it that way without a specific motion to withdraw a motion. So now you would have the motion to withdraw, which was properly moved and seconded on the floor for consideration.
Okay, so on 2025-0472, I've got a motion to withdraw, a motion and a second to withdraw. Councilman Boylan.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Stefopoulos, is it possible to offer an amendment on the existing bill that's saying that it's contingent, the appropriation is contingent upon them completing and getting off the non-compliance list as another option?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, yes, that is an option that I had previously discussed with Councilmember Gaffney and his ECA. I think the intent is to give it to a different organization at this juncture, which is why he is seeking the withdrawal.
Let me ask you, through the chair, through Ms. Mary, if I did decide to go that route, how does that look? So I guess, offer an amendment today, and they get the funds based off when they get off the non-compliance list?
Through the chair to Councilmember Gaffney, if that is an avenue you would like to take, and I'm not aware of any instance where the council's done this, but it is an option, I would recommend that you give them a deadline by which they would have to come off the non-compliance list, and that the approval to give them the money be contingent upon them coming off the non-compliance list by that date, or they would not receive the funds. Just to make sure you're fully aware, if they don't come off the list by that date, then the funds will end up lapsing into the general fund, and they would not be available for reappropriation to a different organization next year.
Okay, thank you for that. But I still have to withdraw today, correct?
Through the chair to Councilmember Gaffney, no, that is an alternative to take an amendment to this bill and not withdraw it.
Okay, all right, well, how about this? And so I apologize about this. So I guess I want to reconsider to not withdraw it and give NCI, today is 9/15, I guess 10/15. I'm not sure if I could give it 2 months, 1 month, I'm not sure, to get off the non-compliance list. Oh, well, if that's the case, if I'm going to lose some money, I could just go ahead and withdraw it now.
Through the chair to Councilmember Gaffney, you would only lose the money if they don't come off the list by the deadline that you would intend to set in the bill. So it's a conditional approval. If they don't meet the condition and they don't get the money, then the funds lapse into the general fund.
Okay. All right. So to be fair with NCI, is 2 months fair? If I could do 2 months from today? Oh, that's too long.
Through the chair to Councilmember Gaffney, that is totally up to you to recommend what you think they would need. I don't know if they're present to speak to that.
Okay. So let's just say it's 9/15, 11/15. That's 2 months from today.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, just to get some proper posture, we've got a motion on the floor to withdraw. And I want to speak to the motion right now to the extent that if we look to withdraw the motion to take up your amendment, I'd like to have some comfort as to what NCI's a capacity is of meeting their compliance. Is someone here to speak to that?
No, if that's the case, we could go ahead and withdraw it, then I could just file an in and out emergency.
I would think that's the proper route at this point. Thank you.
That's fine. So we'll stick with the withdrawal. I just file an in and out emergency Tuesday night and transfer the funds to another organization who could do the same similar things that NCI is doing.
So, Mr. Chair, I support the withdrawal.
And through the chair, just for the committee members to be aware, so if between now and Rules or Finance, he is able to have NCI present to address that question, he can seek an alternative recommendation and report from one of those committees, and then it would just be up to the president to determine which action would get marked on the council agenda. So there is an opportunity to get that information now and see if the amendment is the preferred option before it comes to council next Tuesday. So it could just be reported out of here as a withdrawal, and then another committee could offer an alternative report or recommendation.
All right, thank you. Next speaker, Councilman Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to the district council member, how well are you acquainted with this organization? Do you have that much confidence in them? And I'm a bottom line kind of guy, and if they're not doing their part, it's time to move on. So I'm just curious what the relationship you have.
And thank you, through the chair to Councilman Morrow. That's an appropriate question. Actually, this is a stand-up organization. I actually allocated some funds last year to this organization when they provided services for like after-school program, paid light bills, and so on and so on. It was news to them when they got on a non-compliance list. From my understanding, it was brought to their attention that this was something that they wasn't in compliance with from like 3 years ago. I think when Councilman Sam Newby was the president, and I think they got funds from him, they supposedly didn't submit some type of documentation. But from my understanding, from the relationship that I have with them, they pretty much handle their bills. I'm not sure what happened in this case. They have submitted all the documentation they need now. They just haven't received clearance yet. So it could be any day, it could be any week, and it could get off the list. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Through the chair to Councilmember Gaffney and to the committee. So NCI received a amount of money from the city that would require them to provide an audit to report on those dollars. So they received $100,000 from one of Councilmember Gaffney's appropriations in the years past. And then also they received funding, if you recall, the Safety and Crime Reduction mini grants. They did not report on the combination of those two, which were required to come from a CPA, appropriately. And so it is our understanding, and having conversations with an individual from NCI, that they are attempting to work with their CPA to get that corrected. But as Mr. Gaffney stated, they went on the non-compliance list probably 5 days after he filed his bill, and that was back at the end of June, and they're still not off the list from providing the correct reporting. So for what that's worth.
All right. You good, Councilman Morrow? Yes, sir. Okay, good. All right, thank you. Dr. Salem.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair to Mr. Gaffney, I'm going to give you some advice. You take it for what it's worth. I would simply transfer the dollars into the new year. Then you can determine with plenty of time whether this is the organization or you want to use another organization. That's what I would do. Get the money into the new year, and then you've got plenty of time to decide. That's my suggestion to you. So your bill that you're going to introduce ought to be just to simply transfer it to the 25-26 year, for what it's worth.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Mary, get us in the proper posture.
To the chair, you are absent any further discussion. You have a motion and a second to withdraw the bill, and that is a ballot vote.
All right, no other speakers in the queue. Go ahead and open the ballot and record your vote.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, by your action, you've withdrawn 2025-0472.
Chair, I just want to say I thank you guys. I appreciate you guys' patience for working with me.
All right, we'll go to next item for Councilman Gaffney is item number 10, 2025-0642. Can I get a motion to approve? I've got a motion and a second on the bill. Councilman Gaffney, you recognized.
Through the chair and Dr. Salem, it's funny that you say that to carry over the funds, because this bill is exactly what you just mentioned, and it's pretty much a carryover $125,000 into the next fiscal year. So, I guess this is kind of confirmation that I need to carry over the other funds.
All right, thank you. I'm not seeing any other speakers in the queue. Councilman Boylan.
A question, Mr. Stefopoulos or Mr. Peterson, could we amend this bill to incorporate the additional 125?
Oh, that's good.
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, I was just talking to Philip about that exact question. I would recommend that we leave this one as it is, because if there's a chance that Mr. Gaffney can have MCI come to the other two committees and they may come up with an alternative approach that he prefers, it would leave him that window to do it.
All right, no other speakers in the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
By your action, you've approved 2025-0642. Thank you. Now that takes us to item number 12. All right, item number 12, 2025-0645. Can I get a motion to approve? I've got a motion and a second. Councilmember White.
Yes, sir. Through the chair, would it, Dr. Johnson, was you watching this meeting prior to you getting here? So you heard what was said by Mr. Boyle and Mr. Salem, so I didn't want you caught off guard. I don't know if Mr. Amaro was watching the meeting. Okay. I just want to make sure you was aware of what was said and then what I said, so.
First of all, I want to say thank you for recognizing me, and I apologize for being late. And I got to say this before we start, Mr. Chair. This morning, I was at a groundbreaking at Frank Peterson Academy of Technology for the Future Farmers of America. They are putting a brand new agricultural business veterinary center there. It is absolutely amazing, and so I just got to put that on the record. And I'm looking forward to our school board city council meeting coming up later this year. They're going to put some great farmers out there. I heard bits and pieces of it. It was online. It was breaking up. I want to tell you, I do have several initiatives that I came to champion this morning. This one, the council president invited me to, or appointed me to be the liaison to the Council on Fitness and Well-Being. Because of that, I had some strategic initiative money, and I just explained this in other meetings. The strategic initiative dollars, much like I heard from Councilman Gaffney, that I had in the 24-25 year, the organization that was to get those funds was on the non-compliant list. And while the auditor's office and others tried to work with them, we weren't able to get it done. So that's why I'm pushing these through. You'll see several of them come through. But this one specifically, since I was appointed to this, they could use those funds to help push things forward in the in the city with regards to fitness and well-being. And I would also ask for, and Philip, if you could help me through the chair to explain this, for this particular bill, $20,000 of this be broken off for the mayor's Hispanic Advisory Council, and that's to replace some of the funds that were removed that they needed. And I know they had those funds last year and didn't this year, so I was willing to split some of those funds off to help them achieve their initiatives and means. Am I right in that, through the chair? Am I right in that, Mr. Peterson?
Through the chair to Councilmember Johnson, I'm sorry, I was trying to make some notes. Can you repeat the question?
The money, the funds to replace the mayor's Hispanic Advisory Council funds that I asked if we could pull out of this specific fund, since it's all kind of still maintained in the city. My I think admonition from you was to ask the chair to see if someone would recommend an amendment to pull those funds out, because we need to do that to use them for that, correct?
So through the chair to Councilmember Johnson, you're requesting the 51,227 to be reduced by 20,000.
Correct.
The 31,227 would go to the Mayor's Council for Fitness and Well-Being, and then the other 20,000 to go to the Hispanic Advisory Council.
Correct.
So Ms. Stefopoulos just leaned over and advised that a separate bill be filed because of it being a substantial change from the filed legislation and what was advertised. We have time to do that, but reducing this amount to the 31,227, leaving there, and then filing a separate bill for the 20,000 for the Hispanic.
It's more advisable than what we talked about.
That's correct.
Last week. Okay. Okay, I will leave. So in this case, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm just trying to figure this out. Through the chair to Ms. Stefopoulos, should I ask the chair to defer this then?
Through the chair to Councilmember Johnson, you have to have taken all of these actions before the end of this fiscal year. So a deferral would not allow for it to come out by the September 23rd deadline for the council meeting, the last council meeting of the year. So what you're essentially suggesting is that you would amend to take $20,000 out and reduce the appropriation to 31,227, and you would be requesting a separate bill be filed on your behalf as an in and out emergency to appropriate the $20,000 to the other cause.
Okay. Thank you. So I think, Mr. Chair, if I could, your request is that I get an amendment to this. I mean, your recommendation. And I thought we discussed it last week, but it's okay.
If your intention, this is the first time I've heard of this request. If your intention is to give $20,000 to another entity, then you would need to request the committee.
I understand. I understand. Thank you. So, Mr. Chair, I think the best thing that we could do in this space, because like I said, we were trying to figure this out last week, it would someone from the committee amend this to reduce the amount to 31,227.
All right, thank you, Dr. Salem. Let me go ahead to Dr. Salem here on the queue.
I have some questions, even if it's 31,227. Is there through the chair to maybe to Mr. Delaney, do we have a mayor's council on fitness and well-being? And has it met recently?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, we do have the order for the council, but it is not staffed and it has not met recently.
Okay, because
is that I may be operating on old information here.
I think I have the floor, but you've answered my question. To your knowledge, they have not met and do not have someone assigned. That's my understanding as well. I just wanted you to confirm that.
Yeah, to my knowledge, they at least have not met recently.
Okay, because Councilman Johnson, I think you said through the chair that someone had requested this, and I was trying to determine who that was. If the fitness council has not met, nor do they have any staff assigned to them. Can you clarify that?
I can. Thank you, through the chair, to Councilmember Salem. Unfortunately, and not to cast aspersions to Mr. Delaney, but that's incorrect. They do have staff. It's under the department. And I've spoken to several of the staff members. When I was appointed by the council president to be the liaison for the council on fitness and well-being, that was one of the things I did with all of my appointments. I went to the organization or the board or the entity, found out what they did, who was there. I have a list of that. What I saw from the Council on Fitness and Well-Being was that they did not have an adequate plan. And so I put together a comprehensive plan of leadership as to how it would work. I also have a memo from the administration appointing me as interim chair to get it all together. And so because those strategic initiative funds were there, after my conversations and meetings with the team that is staffing that group, I knew that these strategic initiative funds were available and could be used for something like one of the things that I think is very important, prostate cancer awareness, health awareness. I've also began to pull in other members that had not been involved, like Florida Blue, University of Florida Health, and other organizations, and the Jaguars, other organizations who are now coming on board. So we have not met recently, but it was in an attempt to find a way to strategically push a plan to get us forward, and then that group will then take over the leadership.
And I do also want to say, through the chair, we are supportive of getting them back up and running again. This is something that had been operating in the past. Obviously, health and wellness is a huge priority of the mayor, so we are supportive of moving in that direction.
Come back. I'm just not comfortable with what I'm hearing. The fitness and well-being, it sounds like, has not met for quite some time. There is no staff assigned to it. When I say, I have the floor. When I say there's no staff assigned, there's not a Bill Delaney or someone like that assigned to that board, as most boards have someone assigned to it. So I'm a no today on this. It just seems like it's not ready for prime time. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go to Councilmember Boland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to put us in proper posture, I'm going to go ahead and move the amendment to lower this to $31,000. I'm looking for a second. Motion has been seconded, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to Mr. Johnson, are we looking at this now $31,000 as an RFP to put out there to find an appropriate person to do this? I mean, it seems arbitrary to be able to go from 51 to 31, just like that. But at the same time, is this going to be a direct contract, or is an RFP going to be put out?
Thank you for the question. Mr. Chair, through the chair to Mr. Boylan. No, because unfortunately, Dr. Salem just will not listen to reality. And the reality is there is someone that has been assigned to this board. I do have all the documentation and paperwork, and if Dr. Salem would like to see it, I'd certainly share it with him. But I think to cast aspersions and to put out hyperbole and tell untruths is just ludicrous. Nevertheless, Councilmember Boylan, the individual that's assigned, or the group that's assigned through Parks and Recreation, are working with me as we put the board in its right space. One of the reasons that the board had stopped meeting was because of COVID. When I saw they were meeting virtually.
Mr. Johnson, the summary says that to retain the services of a consultant to assist with the development. So my understanding is that meant this money, $31,000 now, is meant to be used to hire a consultant to help do the work. So
I'm not sure, and I need to look deeper in. Perhaps there was something deeper into the bill that I don't see. But no, this is not for a consultant. This is not for services. This is for the activities of this council. So supplementing doing work in the community through fitness and well-being initiatives, cancer screenings, fitness things in the parks, since this is under Parks and Recreation, but not to retain a staff person. That's not so.
Through the chair to Ms. Stefopoulos, can you help me? Am I incorrect in what the intent of this bill is in terms of the funds, use of the funds?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, so the legislation does provide that it's to retain the services of a consultant to assist with development of a strategic plan for community wellness. And Mr. Peterson is going through the information that we received for preparing the legislation to confirm. It talks about establishing a 12-month strategic plan focused on community engagement, wellness, equity, and measurable impact. I don't know that it references the retention of a consultant. I guess the point, I think we must have read that as the intent, because traditionally if it's an internal something internally that the city is going to do on its own, you don't necessarily need to appropriate the dollars because it's a departmental action and expense, versus if you want to retain somebody to assist, that's when you would appropriate dollars to be able to pay for that service. So that, I think, is where we were understanding we're appropriating. Therefore, the intent would be to retain somebody versus it just being carried in-house as part of the city's administration of that board.
All right, so right now we're discussing the amendment.
Yes, to reduce it to $31,227. If there's not a desire to retain the consultant, then the bill would also have to be amended to remove that language.
With Dr. Salem.
I'm not going to respond to the dispersions. Anyone sitting here can see there's mass confusion. The bill description, which I have in front of me, talks about hiring a consultant. Retain the services of a consultant. So clearly there's confusion here, whether there is a board or not, whether there's staff assigned or not, and whether we're hiring a consultant or not. Those are just facts. So at this point, as I said, I'm going to vote against it because I don't think it's ready. Maybe it can get ready before other committees or the council meeting. I don't know. I'm a fitness guy myself. My God, I work out every morning. I'm supportive of fitness, but this is not ready for a vote today. Simply that. Thank you.
All right. Kind of bringing us back to the posture where we are. We're discussing the amendment to reduce it by $20,000, and I'd like to get through that first, and then we can get into the bill, if it's as amended or if it is as written. So next, I got Dr. Johnson.
I'll just say, and I'm not casting dispersions against anyone, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make sure it's understood. So that's why I tried to masticate it enough for the basic or the advanced to understand. With this, however, I can show you the emails, and I don't mean to go back and forth, Mr. Chair,
amendment.
but I can show you the emails. Well, okay, on the amendment, again, I hope, based on what Ms. Stefopoulos said, that we will be able to move this forward so that the funds can be used to help others. If you notice in the strategic funds that I had, I tried to put it around so it's not just one big glop. If we could help other organizations, but I think this is the best use of those funds.
Okay, all right, so let me go to Mr. Delaney.
Thank you. Through the chair to the body, I do want to clarify.
On the amendment.
I think this will help inform the vote on the amendment. The question about whether there is staff involved, there is staff that will be associated with this council through the Parks Department, Daryl Joseph Shop. The reason that they are not assigned right now is because it hasn't met in quite a while.
All right, thank you. Councilmember White.
Yes, sir. Through the chair, I'll offer the amendment for the 31227, then we can keep discussing, I guess, on the amendment.
That's on the floor, and that's what I'm trying to keep the discussion to.
Okay,
So, that's fine. Councilman Amaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tremendous respect for Councilmember Johnson. Usually he's buttoned up tight on these things, and but there seems to be some confusion. I will support the amendment, but does that mean I will support the bill going forward? That's the question right now, because of the confusion as to where the dollars are going and who is spending the dollars and things of that nature.
All right, thank you. So no other speakers in the queue on the amendment. I would like to add that what was presented to begin with was the $51,227 that was going to this council, and now it's 20,000 is coming off of it to go to another agency, but there had to been some type of need to identify the 51,000 to begin with, and to switch it midstream like here is I'm concerned that are we going to leave a gap, and so as Councilman Amaro said that yes, I always hear Dr. Johnson bring in well researched information. I just think this here's got a lot of confusion on it of the amendment. So with that, I don't have any other speakers in the queue in regards to the amendment. All in favor say yay. Yay. All opposed likewise, nay. So, all right. All in favor of the amendment, raise your hand. All opposed likewise. All right, so by your action, the amendment has approved. So can I get a motion on the bill to approve as amended? Okay, I've got a motion and a second to move the bill as amended. All right, no speakers in the queue. Oh, well, Councilman Amaro.
Mr. Chair, very quickly, I support the amendment because I believe every district council member has a right to be the voice for his community, and also has been given that authority through his or her representation here on the council to make such request. I think there's still some lingering questions, however, as to exactly how this money is going to be spent. And we have that fiscal responsibility of being sure that when we say what we say, it is what it is. And I'm sitting here just as confused as everyone else as to exactly where it's going and to whom it's going. And so that creates a little problem right now.
All right, I got Councilman Boylan. Go ahead, sir.
Very quickly, I support the amendment because it created the capacity to move the 20,000 out of this bill. But be that as may, I can completely concur with my colleague, Councilman Romero. I don't think this bill is ready for prime time yet, so I'm not going to be supporting it.
All right, thank you. Dr. Johnson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And I certainly understand the issues and the lack of understanding to all of the members. And so thank you for allowing me to bring it forward. I will say, I know since this was I did not have a chance to see this bill, but in no place, I have about 10 emails here, Mr. Chair. In no way, in any place or time did I say that we would be hiring a consultant. I don't know where that got in. I did not see the final version of this bill, not to cast any issues with OGC or the auditor's office, but that was not the intent. And I do have the email showing the request of it, as well as the plan that I put together to submit it, and at no time in any of the communications that I've sent or shared, which are public record, did I say anything about a consultant or bringing that in. So I'm a little confused as to how that ended up here, but my apologies for these issues. This is specifically to support fitness and well-being, and that group, when I was appointed to it and got there, I saw that they did not have any funds for any initiatives, and so that's why I said I could use the funds that I knew that were under my auspice for strategic initiatives for that. It's the only reason for it, but thank you for hearing me out.
All right, thank you. Councilman Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to OJC Office General Counsel. Again, I understand the district councilman's intent here and the effort not to lose this opportunity to fund a worthwhile, what appears to be a worthwhile effort. My question, what's the proper framing for this legislation so that it can win the support to be able to move forward? If there's still concerns about its use and its designation and things of that nature, how can we firm that up with clarity right now, if you will, before we can move forward?
Through the chair to Councilmember Amaro. So I think some of the concerns are with respect to the current status of the council, which I don't know that I could recommend something that you could address with respect to its current status or its staffing. I would recommend, though, that if the intention of the Councilmember Johnson is that they be able to use the funds to develop a strategic plan, but not through the hiring of a consultant, that you may want to amend the bill to remove that language with respect to hiring of a consultant, so it leaves them a broader opportunity for utilizing the funds for the purposes of developing the strategic plan. That would be one recommendation, just to make sure it meets the intent of the introducer.
All right. Councilman Morrow.
Mr. Chair, I would move we strike the language about consultant as an amendment, and if it survives, then we vote on the bill. But if it doesn't survive, then do I get a second? Can I get a second on second
right.
for conversation for?
So I've got a motion and a second on the amendment to remove that. And I guess, Ms. Mary, if you want to clarify.
Yes.
Amendment.
So what it would do is we would revise the legislation that wherever it says to provide funding for the Mayor's Council on Fitness and Wellbeing to retain the services of a consultant, it's in there in a couple of locations. We would just take that out and leave it as to provide funding for the Mayor's Council on Fitness and Wellbeing to assist the council in the development of a strategic plan for community wellness.
All right. So we've got a motion and a second, and I got Dr. Salem on the queue.
I appreciate what Councilmember Amaro is trying to do, and I have great respect for my colleague, but I still don't know what the money's going to be used for. There's not anything that I have that shows that. So I'm a no on the amendment. I'm a no on the bill, and I just think this is not ready. As you all have said, we're spending a lot of time on something that I think we should be voting on and moving on, frankly. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Salem. I think you should know that I share the same concern as to how it will be used, and I was just trying to find a way to move it forward. Through the chair to Mr. Johnson, is there any specific language that would say that how it will be used, that you can garner the support of committee members here?
Testing. Okay. Through the chair to Councilman Amaro. Yes, there was which I initially sent over, and I'm not sure why it wasn't included, but there was a plan as to activation, which I can share with the council secretary's office. That way everybody can have legislative services, excuse me, so that everybody has it. But there was a plan that I submitted when the council president made the appointment, again, like I did with all of the boards and commissions that I liaise with, like all of us. I went to look up each one, especially those that I had not worked with before. Obviously, it's my second term on JTA. I didn't even know about the council, but when I looked it up, saw what was there, I then began to ascertain how I could do what the council president asked me to do, which is to go and make the council presence important on that board. What I saw was that they had not been doing anything since COVID. And when I called some of the members, they were interested, but they just didn't know what to do. So they needed some leadership and a plan. As to the funds, it came about at around the same time when I was told that those funds were available because I had the strategic initiatives that weren't able to be given to the other entity that was on the non-compliant list. So this was to support activities, whether it be, they weren't specifically defined because the board had not come together yet, but I wanted the board to have the resources so those activities, obviously $30,000 or even $50,000 is not going to run fitness and well-being for a city of 875 square miles. The partners will. The partners who are part of this, but this was to augment those services. If there were things that are needed specifically like health fairs or screening issues, screening possibilities, or any of those things, I wanted to be able to have the funds to supplement it. Now, we could let these funds go back, and I can certainly come back and request it incrementally as strategic funds, but I figured that this would be the most efficient way because in that space, there would be a 6-week cycle for each time the request came through. So my thought was to say, why don't we take those funds that I do have available, make them available to the board? And of course, they would still have to go through the scrutiny of other city departments like procurement before they're spent anyway. But that was the rationale. Through the chair, does that answer your question, Councilman? Thanks.
All right, thank you. And we're on the amendment to strike the language. No other speakers. We'll go ahead and do a hand vote. All in favor of the amendment to strike the language, raise your hand. All right, we've got 2 for it. All opposed likewise. All right, so the amendment fails. So we're back to the bill. Right. So we're back to the bill as already amended. So any other speakers in the queue? None. Open the ballot and record your vote.
One yea, 4 nays.
All right, by your action, you've not approved 2025-0645. Next item will be item 22, 2025-0656. Can I get a motion to approve? Can I get a second? I've got a motion and a second. Dr. Salem.
Just to clarify my comments earlier, I'm not sure that Dr. Johnson heard them, and I want to make sure I'm clear on them. I have a problem with grants of this size, $10,000, and there's so many of them here. As I stated before, it takes as much to develop a contract like this and monitor it, whether this was $10,000 or $500,000. And I would be supportive of one of these for $75,000. If you took the 6 or 7 here and put them together, I'd be happy with that. But we're taxing KHA, and we are taxing the compliance area to monitor small grants like this, because it takes as much to monitor 10 grand or maybe even more than it does a $500,000 grant. So I'll say this once, and I will be introducing legislation to limit these, I'd say, to at least $25,000 going forward. But that's not in place today, and that's been made clear, and I understand that. But I will be a no on all of these. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Boylan, you recognize.
Thank you, to the Chair, too. Mr. Johnson, I'm not sure if you heard my earlier comments. Concerns I have with respect to a couple of things. Number one is the capacity of organizations like this one in terms of the ability to comply with the terms of the agreement. Can you speak to that? And secondly, some history of this organization, so I have a better understanding. Is this Native American, or is this, it says Indian, I understand, but it's not Native American. I want to be clear. Okay. Could you, through the chair to Mr. Johnson, could you speak to the capacity of this organization to meet the terms of the agreement? And the second question, if you wouldn't mind, sir, the other point I raised some concern on is the whole idea of public purpose. Is this about supporting the organization? I recognize you're looking at community outreach, et cetera, but the impact of this, taking tax dollars, a broad reach of use of tax dollars for a very specified purpose. Through the chair, thank you.
Through the chair, thank you for recognizing me, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Boylan, for those comments. And through first to Dr. Salem, I certainly understand, and I've had the conversation as well with not only KHA but also auditing to ensure. I don't like doing the smaller grants. I started out with that when I got here. I think, though, if we can use funds that are available for the community to augment things that are already going on and can amplify those programs, that's why I tried to do this. This will probably be the last time that I come with these this small, and after conversations with others, I certainly get it. But these organizations, when they come to the table and want to reach out, I want to do what I can to help. And if I can have a little bit, help a lot of people, that's kind of the rationale. As to your question, Mr. Boylan, yes, all of the organizations, again, they would not have made it this far had they not been vetted. So do they have the capacity? Absolutely. They have gone through the scrutiny. And let me back up. I personally, and I don't, obviously being a PhD, I am very big on semantics. And so these are not Native Americans. I use the term Native American for that respect and Indian for that. This is for people from the country India and its surrounding areas and regions. But the capacity, yes, they do have it. They've been doing a lot of outreach in the community for some time, and their cultural offerings, they try to include other parts of the community, especially youth, which is why I thought this was important. The organization, the Indian Cultural Society, has annually a Diwali festival, which is the Festival of Lights, kind of like the Indian New Year, and several other events. But what they do that I thought was impressive after attending one of them is they try to get other people to understand the Indian culture, to come into what they're doing, to show them. And so they've been doing workshops, and I've seen people, black kids, white kids, other parts of Asia, kids from other parts of Asia, to come to these workshops, and they help a better cultural understanding of the community. In fact, the event that I went to where I was so impressed by this, I was at the Florida Theater, right? And they brought in different segments of the community, introduced them to different foods, and it's something that they spent their money to do. So this was, in essence, an augmentation of it so they could amplify their outreach, which is what most of these are doing. There's no way that $10,000 is going to fund the fullness of the organization and allow it to do the work that they do. But if we can show our city strength and our city commitment to empowering those communities to go out and bring in others, I think it says a lot, and we can do it for a little bit.
This is going to be a question for Mr. Fopoulos, and this, I'm not sure if it's a hard ball or a softball. Assuming as we take up the budget next week and there's the DEI amendment in the process, and these funds won't be expended until next fiscal year, would they qualify, or if the amendment passes, can this kind of appropriation take place? And can the use of these funds happen?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan. So Great question. So one of the things that we looked at with respect to the application of that potential language being added to the budget was how broad is the application of it. And it would apply to the appropriations being made in the budget ordinance. So to the extent that this funding is being appropriated in this fiscal year and not through the budget bill that's pending, that prohibition language is applicable to the funds for FY 25-26 being appropriated in that bill. So it would not have an application to this piece of legislation.
I anticipated that answer, and I expected the answer, but let's put it a different way then. If this bill were introduced a month from now, would it be allowed to be, if the Diamond Amendment was approved?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, so that's another good question. So if the council were to take an action to appropriate funds that were for a specific cultural organization in light of the DEI language that could potentially make its way into the budget, I think that at that point the council's action to add an appropriation to an organization such as this, even in light of the DEI language, would be the policy decision to authorize that expenditure regardless of that DEI language. Now, so that puts the council in a different quandary, I think, at the time that you would be considering it, and there may be other items that would be brought forth through the budget bill that would have a similar consideration, in which case the council may want to consider, do you specifically outline those additional items as exemptions in the DEI language, or how would you handle it? But I think inasmuch as the decision to include language that prohibits the expenditure of dollars through that budget ordinance for DEI initiatives is a policy decision. Similarly, there is a policy decision being made to appropriate the funds to organizations, cultural organizations such as this one. And so I think that the council's action on both would have to be read as a policy decision being made by the council.
And I would fully expect we're going to see a series of waivers, much like we do with the direct contracts, to say, all right, we have it in place as part of the budget, an amendment that says these kind of appropriations can't happen, will require a waiver in those appropriation bills.
And if I recall correctly, Mr. Boylan, and I'll go back and double check, but I do believe that the proposed language, the DEI language in the Diamond Amendment, did include an exemption for grants issued under Chapter 118. So to the extent this particular bill is not a grant under 118, but is under Chapter 77, it might still have had a problem, or it might have to have been consideration of the council if it were being taken up as part of the budget bill. But there are some exceptions currently drafted in that language, and so I think a lot of these appropriations that we're doing for these types of organizations do come through Chapter 118 and would be accepted based on what my recollection of that language is. But yes, you're right. There was a lot of discussion on potential exceptions for the unauthorized alien language, and you may have similar discussion at council on the DEI language.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate giving me the latitude to have this conversation. I just wanted to have some tangible evidence what's going to happen in the context of that amendment. Thank you.
All right, Councilman Dr. Johnson.
I just had a question. I'm just curious. It says Indian Cultural Society. How did we get the reach that it would be covered under that through the chair to Mr. Fopoulos? That just doesn't, there's nothing in this legislation that says anything about diversity or equity or inclusion. How do we get to possibly including it in that amendment? I mean, I know it's not. We're talking hypotheticals, but based on the hypothetical that Councilman Boylan gave, is any organization that may have a group of that's doing some stuff that is relevant to the community, do we then just decide, is there a rubric for that?
Through the chair to Councilmember Johnson, I believe the reason the question arose was because the way the original DEI language was proposed, it had a definition of DEI in it, and it talked about, and let me try to pull it up just to make sure that I don't steer this group wrong. It talked about furtherance of specific policies, et cetera. The definition of DEI that was included in the Diamond Amendment was, for purposes of this provision, diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, is any program or policy that classifies individuals on the basis of race, color, sex, national origin, gender identity, or sexual orientation, which promotes differential or preferential treatment of individuals on the basis of such classification. So I think the question becomes, is funding an organization that promotes the specific national origin or culture of Indian population, would that fall within that definition? And whether or not it was promoting differential or preferential treatment ultimately would have to be of consideration to the administration in enforcing a provision of that nature. But I think it legitimately raises the question with these types of organizations as just an example of where there might be an interplay between the two.
All right, no other speakers in the queue. Let's just go ahead and open the ballot and cast your vote.
Three yeas, 2 nays.
So, Mr. Chair, that is an automatic deferral per the council rules because you would need 4 votes one way or the other to move it out of committee. If anybody on the committee, and I went back and reviewed the rule, anybody on the committee can move to reconsider in the instance you want to have further debate and potentially be able to report it out with 4 votes one way or the other, but otherwise it stands as a deferral.
All right, thank you. Anyone on the committee wish to reconsider? All right, no one wishes. We'll go ahead and move on. That one, 2025-0656 is deferred. Item number 23, 2025-0657. Can I get a motion to approve? And I need a second. I've got a motion and a second. No speakers on the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
Three yeas, 2 nays.
This one is also a deferral unless someone wishes to reconsider. No one reconsiders. Item 23-2025-0657 is deferred. You're fine. Next item will be 2025-0664. I got a motion and a second to move the bill. Mr. Boland, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm trying to provide some latitude, and I do appreciate colleagues' support of these things. But again, through the chair to Mr. Johnson, can you give me some information about this organization, their capacity to do this, and to speak specifically to the, I'm familiar with the School Closet program, which I think is great. I think the public purpose is there. So let's just speak to the capability of this organization to meet the requirements of the terms of the agreement.
Thank you again, Mr. Through the chair to Mr. Boylan. They have been operating for more than 8 years, I think this organization has. They partner with JEA, and they're focused on getting kids across Duval County involved into science, technology, engineering, and math skills. I think that's and I'm not looking at all of the stuff, but I know I sent all of the specific details about the organization when they came to me. I sent them over to, they should be included in the exhibits, if not, but I did send them over to legislative, I keep saying legislative services, to OGC and auditing.
Mr. Peterson, do we have any history with this program, mentoring families and kids in terms of a grant?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, we searched for that and could not find any contracts with this entity under the new procurement system, which went into effect 2020.
Thank you. I guess a piece of advice from Councilmember Johnson in the future, perhaps entities like these that are new to the system, make sure we as council members have an opportunity to have an appreciation as to who they are and how they work.
Thank you. I did not, and I will make note of that. While there are other organizations, I will say in the past 2 years that I've been on the council with the Strategic Initiative Funds, there have been other organizations that have not been in the system that have been awarded in the past. And so I was simply following the rules that I was provided by Office of General Counsel and auditing as to how the process works. So if there is an amendment to the process and how it works, I'd love to know it so that if something like this happens in the future, we would know. But I was told the process was to provide all of the details and information to those entities.
Through the chairman,
Thank you.
I was just offering that as advice. You're absolutely correct. But to garner a vote, you need to make sure we're familiar and comfortable with the organizations.
All right, no other speakers in the queue. Open the ballot and cast your vote.
Three yeas, 2 nays.
And this one, unless someone wishes to reconsider, will be a deferral. No reconsiders, it is deferred. 2025-0664 is deferred. Item number 20, let me go ahead, be item number 30. All right, item number 30, 2025-0682. I get a motion to approve. Can I get a motion on emergency? So I've got a motion and a second on emergency.
Through the chair to the committee, the nature of the emergency is that these funds that are being appropriated will lapse at September 30th, so this is the last committee action to be able to take them up.
All right, any discussion on emergency? None, all in favor say yea. 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 Any opposed? Okay. One opposed. All right, I got a motion. Can I get a second? And my motion is second on the emergency. The bill to be moved as an emergency. No discussions in the queue. Open a ballot, record your vote.
Four yeas, 1 nay.
All right, by your actions, you've approved 2025-0682. Next item will be number 31, 2025-0683. Can I get a motion on emergency? I get a second? I've got a motion and a second on emergency. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair to the committee, the nature of the emergency is that the funds that are being appropriated by this bill will lapse at September 30th, so this is the last committee chance to appropriate them.
All right, no discussions. No speakers in the queue. All in favor of the emergency, say yea. 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 Any opposed likewise? Nay. 1 nay. I've got a motion. Can I get a second? And a second to move the bill as an emergency. No speakers in the queue. Open the ballot and record your vote.
Three yeas, 2 nays.
All right, by your action, unless someone wants to reconsider, it will be a deferral. No reconsider. So by your action, 2025-0683 has been deferred. Next item, 32. No, I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and 34 will be the next item. 2025-0689. Can I get a motion on emergency?
Move the emergency.
I've got a motion and a second on emergency. No speakers. All in favor say yea. 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 Any opposed likewise? All right, I've got a motion. I get a second. I got a motion and a second on the bill as an emergency. Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. These funds are just to carry over the funds that Goodwill was already awarded from this council that they've used to open their center. Unfortunately, there were some issues with permitting, which has pushed their timeline back, but this just carries them over so they can continue to use these funds. Thank you.
All right, thank you. No other speakers in the queue. Open a ballot, record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
By your action, you've approved 2025-0689. Next item will be 40. 2025-0713. Can I get a motion on emergency? I've got a motion and a second on emergency. No speakers in the queue. All in favor of the emergencies, say yea. Yea. Any opposed, likewise? One nay. I've got a motion and a second on the bill as an emergency. Councilman Boland, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I prefaced the start of this meeting with a conversation about public purpose. I have general concern with respect to this bill. If you take a look at the description and even in the agenda, it says funding will be used for various costs to host workshops, including office supplies, printing, and advertising materials. I don't see the public purpose. I recognize there's a workshop is thrown in there, but I'm not certain. I see a specific program that this is supports that provides nothing more than the support of the entity itself and not necessarily the larger public purpose. So I won't be supporting it today.
All right, Dr. Johnson, you recognize.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I happen to have formerly been a member and an officer of this organization, Mr. Chair, so that's one of the reasons I spoke to it. Annually, these organizations, the local chapters from across the country do workshops with the community as in respect of exploring how to handle media through like neighborhood meetings or making sure that it gets press releases written properly in different parts of the city. This is something they do anyway. And so I thought that we could come alongside to augment those things that they do. Unfortunately, it seems that people don't understand there may be a public purpose, but I know having been a member of, and having been a working member of the media for a couple decades, a lot of people just didn't understand how to do it. And so I appreciate this organization having these kind of workshops with people that are of different ilks and from different parts of the community, knowing not only how to package and get information on our municipal level from the city, but also how to take that information to the media to empower them to be more involved in the community. That was my rationale. And the information about it was written up, and it is, and they specifically say that, it was included with the information that was sent to the auditor's office as well as the general counsel's office. So it should be in your dossier. Thank you.
All right. No other speakers in the queue, so I've got a motion and approval, motion and a second on the bill as an emergency. Open your ballots, record your vote.
Two yeas, 3 nays.
All right, by your actions, 2025-0713 is deferred. All right, next item 41, 2025-0716. Can I get a motion on emergency? I've got a motion and a second on emergency. All in favor say yea. Yea. Any opposed likewise? All right, so I've got, can I get a motion and a second on the bill 20 as an emergency? And Dr. Salem.
Thank you, Chair. Per the previous discussion, these dollars, it was my intent that these dollars fall into the reserves after we pull the money out for the healthcare fund. We had a debate in I think our last finance hearing. I am supportive of the Northeast Florida Regional Council be at least partially funded, if not fully funded, as long as the money is identified within the budget, and other than the budget stabilization fund that I'd like to stay in place, if not increased. So I will be voting against this. I'm sure there'll be an amendment Tuesday night, and I hope someone identifies dollars within the budget to support this. Thank you.
All right, Councilman Boland, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I, again, started this conversation this evening, or this morning, it seems like evening now, this morning with my concern about this transfer of vacant funds, as I call it, vacant funds, for unassociated efforts. I'm a huge fan of the Northeast Florida Regional Council, and I applaud Councilmember Johnson for moving this forward. I think it adds greater evidence in the importance of supporting that organization, and I share Councilmember Salem's comments with respect to the hope that an amendment comes forward, that funds are identified in the existing proposed budget to accommodate our continued support of the Northeast Florida Regional Council. But the idea of taking unrelated funds to support an initiative like this, to me, is a very bad precedent that we're seeing set time and again, and I'd like to see us step away from that. So I'm with great difficulty, I can't support this today.
All right, Chief White.
Yeah, thank you, through the chair, to Dr. Johnson. Thanks for finding this. They do important work, and I understand what Mr. Boland and Mr. Dr. Salem saying, but I'll be supporting this. Thank you.
All right. As no other speakers in the queue, I am a supporter of the Northeast Regional Council, but as the Finance Committee has done a lot of due diligence, I kind of want to see, like Councilman Boland and Councilman Dr. Salem was saying, that there's a way that it can be put back in the normal process and not through this. So that's where my hope is with this. So with that, go ahead and open the ballot and cast your vote.
Two yeas, 3 nays.
Ms. Mary, so this will be deferred. So 2025-016 has been deferred. Item number 43, 2025-0720. I got a motion on emergency. I get a second? I've got a second. Any discussion? Dr. Johnson.
Thank you so much. And if needed, I believe OED is here to discuss this bill. Although some portions are confidential, there was council members, we have the Film and Television Department here that goes after film and television entities to bring them to Jacksonville. This particular entity, Project T, which it's codenamed right now, would bring a multi-million-dollar impact to the city. All of the details and specifics of that have been shared with the auditing office. But the reason for this is specifically so that we're able to continue to attract these kinds of productions, which gives an economic incentive to the city. That program, you'll see another piece of legislation coming up, and I don't want to conflate the two, but this particular one, there's an incentive that comes if people...
emergency.
Well, and the reason being is because this project is almost here, and with this other piece of legislation, it would completely take all the money out of the money that's been allocated for it. So I don't want to lose a production in a meeting with that team. If we don't do this in a timely manner, we could lose this production to another city. Thanks.
Dr. Salem, we're on emergency. Okay. All right, so emergencies on the table right now. All in favor of the emergencies? Aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? We got one nay. So I've got a motion and a second on the bill as an emergency. Dr. Salem, you're recognized.
I have the same concerns about this bill as I've had. These dollars would fall into the reserves if not for this, which was my intent originally. Todd, please come forward or add, both of you. You're asking for $400,000. This budget that we're working on right now will be in place October 1, which is 2 weeks from now. Is there not dollars in that budget that will support this?
Through the Ed Randolph, OED, through the chair to Councilman Salem. There is not. We're actually we're also working with Councilman Johnson on another bill. There's actually $330,000 left from the original $500,000 of which was appropriated through the mayor's task force bill. We set up these new programs, these new incentive programs to attract film and television productions here to town, and we've seen quite a bit of inertia ever since putting those in place. The $330,000 left from the original $500,000 is all earmarked for other initiatives. We have not expended those dollars yet, but they're about to go out to those multiple production parties. So this $400,000 we do not have in place to accommodate this particular film request. And Councilman Johnson, heard about this film production speaking to Todd in recent weeks, so he's here supporting this. But the short answer is no, we do not have the funds to cover this request at the moment.
Through the chair, if you are promoting this now, why weren't extra dollars put in the 25-26 budget to account for increased activity? Because these dollars should be falling into the reserves.
Through the chair, Councilman Salem. Again, it's really been help from Councilman Johnson, who's obviously a supporter of the industry. We just looked at it as being, unfortunately, we've expended those dollars, and for projects of this magnitude, they would need to come back to council for council approval. Anything above $200,000 per our public investment policy as it relates to film and incentives would need to come back to council. This is almost similar to that type of request, is that it's such a large sum of money. They meet the requirement for the $400,000 because it's a large film production that we would need to come to council for approval anyway. But to your point, we just kept our budget flat. So again, we just kind of, unfortunately, understanding the nature of this budget cycle, that we did not request additional funds.
Okay, I would prefer that you come back with separate legislation after October 1, where we can understand how this money is going to be used versus using money that would normally go to the reserves. That's so. As much as I like, and I've worked with Todd for 20 years back in the sports board, great respect for him. I don't like this process. The process bothers me for all the reasons we've been talking about. It should be a clean bill starting from scratch after October 1, unless the mayor has transfer authority where she could support you in some way. That's an alternative as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Boland, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, Mr. Randolph, Mr. Rubin, thanks for being here. I guess I can't speak to the specifics of the project. I understand that, but can you speak to the ROI? Obviously, Mr. Randolph, you're sitting here because of that. And I tend to agree with Councilmember Salem in the context of that, because again, I've expressed consistently this morning about my concern about drawing down from funds. But give me a reason to say why this time I should support it because of the ROI.
Sure. Through the chair to Councilman Boylan, let me just take a step back. So basically, most folks here know that the film industry, it's kind of an arms race. Film productions will go to Canada, the UK. In the US specifically, Louisiana and Georgia over the last decade have done a great job after they put incentives on the table, have attracted a lot of productions and taken a lot of productions out of the state of Florida ever since our program on the state level sunset a number of years ago. So with that, Tampa, Orlando, Miami has over $5 million in a special fund for projects like this. So even the level set on the state level, the $500,000 we initially put in was rather meager. But again, it's really, we've really seen a good amount of groundswell and activity and attraction, and I'll let Todd maybe speak to more of the specifics. But to your point specifically in your question, Councilman Boylan, the ROI on this project is 7.1 to 1. So we're looking at over 7 to 1 return based on the 2,400 room nights, over $3 million of production, over 100 Jacksonville residents to be hired. And so this is almost going to be a 6-month production. And maybe I'll let Todd, if you want to add anything more as it relates to the specifics.
That gives Todd, you're welcome to speak to it, but it gives me the answer that I'm looking for. This is kind of makes a lot of sense that we can see a significant return on this investment.
Todd Rubin with the Film and Television Office under OED. Through the chair, Councilman Boylan, Ed just hit the big numbers. We're looking at a $3 million direct impact, 150 days of production from prep, filming, wrap. It's the type of product, and then we're looking at the 2,400 room nights. And this is a high caliber production company that's based in California. It's the type of productions that we've been trying to attract back to Jacksonville. And if had it not been for the incentive, no question about it, they would bypass Jacksonville altogether.
I do appreciate the flywheel effect. Once you grab one like this and have some success with it, it garners greater support thereafter. Thank you.
Yes.
Let me go to Dr. Johnson.
I also wanted to add in, I heard someone say something about, well, what is this money being spent for, Mr. Chair? I want to make sure that we know, if you look on filmjacks.com, which is the site that houses the information, you can find the details. And this is simply just a rebate. That's all, just to get them here. And there's tier 1, 2, and commercial tiers. But it gives, if you want to take a closer look, it gives the specifics on that. If you spend, I think the tier 2, if you spend $1 million minimum, you can get the full 20% rebate. But if you spend up to $400,000 minimum, 15% rebate, and so forth. And so it's a way for our city to really benefit. And as you heard earlier, from a 7-to-1 ratio or 7-to-1 impact, financial impact, it really makes a lot of sense for our economy to try to get these programs or these kind of productions here to Jacksonville.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Salem.
Last question. If not for these dollars, what would you be doing?
Through the chair to Councilman Salem, again, we're just not really competitive. I mean, again, looking at our peer cities just in the state of Florida, their film activity is much greater than ours. Ever since we put this program in place, we've seen quite a bit of activity as opposed to past years when we didn't have anything on the table. So it's definitely, we're starting to gain steam and getting back to our former glory in the film and television arena.
Through the chair, refresh my memory, Todd. Didn't we put $500,000 into a fund when I was president for this very purpose?
Through the chair, Councilman, yes, so that's what I was referencing. So basically, all of those have already spoken for. We spent about $170,000, and the balance over $300,000 is already earmarked for productions that are underway right now. We're about to expend those dollars.
So you have $100,000 and some odd left in that fund presently?
Less than, based on what's in the pipeline, less than that.
Did you advocate to replenish that fund through the budget process?
Again, through the chair to Councilman Salem, at the moment, we did not, in that understanding the budget constraints, we did not do that this fiscal year.
I just have to smile when I look at some of the funding that is in that budget and something like this is not. It's mind-boggling to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Amaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question to Ed and Todd. It's an emergency, and a reference was made earlier to the timeliness. Can you expound on the timeliness of getting this done?
Through the chair, Councilmember Amaro, this production has submitted its application with the intent of moving forward and starting pre-production. And for those reasons, that's the reason why we're moving forward on this as an emergency.
All right, thank you. No other speakers in the queue. A couple of questions I have. What in regards to them submitting an application, when did they submit this application?
The exact date, I'm going to say, well, we received the application, I'm going to say about 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other discussions? This is a tough one because I feel like the Finance Committee should have had the opportunity to weigh into this before it come to us, especially right here at with the ongoing budget. So anyway, let's open the ballots and record your vote.
3 yeas, 2 nays.
So by your action, this has also been deferred. 2025-0720 is deferred. All right, so back to our agenda, original agenda. Ms. Mary, make sure I'm in the right spot here. I believe we're at item 28. All right, 2025-0680. I got a motion and a second on emergency. Any discussion on emergency? None. All in favor of emergency, say yay. Yay. Any opposed likewise? All right. Can I get a motion and a second on the bill 2025-0680 as an emergency? I've got a motion and a second as emergency. Any speakers? No discussion. Open a ballot. Record your vote.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
By your action, you've approved 2025-0680. So our next item will be 32, 2025-0686. I've got a motion and a second on the emergency. Any discussion on the emergency? No discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? None. So can I get a motion and a second on the bill approved as the emergency 2025-0686? I've got a motion and a second. No discussion. Open a ballot. Record your vote.
Four yeas, 0 nays.
By your action, you've approved 2025-0686. Next item. Item 42. 2025-0718. Can I get a motion on emergency? And a second? I've got a motion and a second on emergency. No speakers in the queue. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? All right, can I get a motion and a second on 2025-0718 as an emergency? I've got a motion and a second, and Councilman Boylan near the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To be consistent with concerns I've raised, again, I'm not familiar with this organization. Mr. Peterson, do they have any prior experience in terms of funding and their capacity to meet the terms of the grant agreement?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, yes, sir. They received an appropriation earlier at the beginning of this fiscal year from, I believe it was Councilmember Arias. He identified it as one of his strategic priorities. I cannot speak to how that grant has played out, but they have received funding in the past, so they would, therefore, at a minimum, they would have worked with grants and contract compliance.
Thank you.
All right, no other speakers in the queue. Open a ballot and record your vote.
4 yeas, 1 nay.
All right, and I believe that takes us to the end of our agenda. I done went through the items that were on second reading. In the beginning, Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair, just want to correct something I responded to Councilmember Boylan. Their grant is with KHA, not with grants and contract compliance. So just wanted that out there.
All right, if that's all, no other further questions, discussions, we are adjourned.